Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Before I go into this story, and it's called Lost Bells of Collemere or Collemere, depends how you pronounce it. But there is a riddle at the beginning. If anyone can solve this riddle and put it in the chat, I will give you a super sticker in your live chat. I will give you £2. Okay? But you have to guess the riddle to get the £2 super chat. So, this is the riddle. I saw 5 birds all in a cage. Each bird had but a single wing. They were 100 years of age, and yet did fly and sweetly sing. The wonder did my mind possess when I beheld their age and strength. Besides, as near as I can guess, their tails were 30 feet in length. Guess the riddle, guys. Win £2 super chat. Okay. Collemere is a beautiful but tucked away in a quiet corner in North Shropshire, between the hamlets of Collemere and RIDDLE. The Victorian church stands by the road on high ground looking over the meadow and reed beds that lead down to the mere. Trees border the rest of the mere, bowing down to admire themselves in still water. The water is sheltered, rarely ruffled by the wind. In the summer, water lilies with tiny yellow flowers float on the top of the water, belaying how deep the water really is. It is a still, contemplative place, changing with the seasons but not the years. Before the new church was built, there was a chapel much closer to the water. Follow the path down through the meadow, through the kissing gate and into the woods. If you explore to your right, you can still find an ancient yew tree clustered among the younger trees. It is the last marker and guardian of the old chapel site now that the bricks and mortar of St. Helens are long gone. In the time of civil war, Shropshire, like all of England, lay divided. Shrewsbury and the south were mostly loyal to the king, but Oswestry, Whitchurch and the north supported Cromwell. There was unrest throughout the country, and neighbours looked at one another with mistrust. Amongst the common folk, support for Cromwell was swelling, more and more people being swayed by the radical new ideas. One night, things came to a head in RIDDLE. A mass gathering of men and women, many disguised, rioted through the village, and at last converged on the banks of Collemere at St. Helen's Chapel. They came shouting and hollering with torches and ropes, throwing stones and rocks. The mob pulled the chapel down, wrecking the building and throwing the bells into the mere. But the bells did not lie quiet. On windy nights, when the moon was full, the bells would sound beneath the water. Years later, in quieter times, the local people decided to try and reclaim the bells. They asked the local henwife for help. 20 oxen you'll need, and a good deal of respect. Those bells are calling out to be lifted, but mind your tongues while you pull. Go in silence and be solemn, and the bells will be glad to come home. As in earlier times, opinion was again divided. Not everyone thought it was a good idea to raise the bells. And not everyone was completely sure that they'd managed to. However, there were plenty of willing volunteers to try and bring the bells to shore, and some men and women from Collemere and RIDDLE gathered together in silence. They were solemn. Some young lads swam down to the bells with chains and fastened them tight. 20 oxen were harnessed. They were harnessed to the chains, and they did begin to pull. The oxen began to move, and there was a swell in the water. Higher and higher the bells were lifted, closer and closer to shore, until just they seemed to crest at the water. A man turned to one of the more vocal dissenters of the effort and whispered, "You see, after all your doubts, in spite of God and the devil, we have done it." As soon as those words were out of his mouth, the chains snapped. The bells rolled back into the water, rattling the chains behind them, sinking deeper this time, down to the heart of the mere. The people stood watching the bubbles rise where the bells had sunk, but there was nothing that could be done. The bells were beyond the reach of human divers. No more do the bells toll beneath the water. No more do they cry to come home. Now they lie still, silent, in the depths. They can still be there today, laid silent, not making a sound. The end. Oh, well, that's a very nice story. And obviously remember the bells at the beginning. Now, these are not just stories, they are folk tales, so they are believed to be of somewhat, well, some truth to them. We don't know how much truth, of course, but there is truth to them. But yeah, remember the riddle from the beginning and see if you can guess it in the comments. Leave a like and share if you can, and if you've not yet done so, please consider subscribing. Thank you very much, and many blessings.